Is this $400 lens as good as a lens more than double its price? This is the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 version 2 for Fuji X mount, and it is a delight. It's perfect for portraits or any work where you're trying to get some separation between your subject and your background. Now, although it has an 85mm in full frame term, with that crop sensor in mind, that's equivalent to about a 127.5mm. It also makes the depth of field equivalent of its f1.8 aperture about a 2.7, which is still very fast and can get very out of focus backgrounds. Now, all of my test photos are shot on my Fujifilm X-T3 with its 26 megapixel sensor. Ideally, I would have tested this on one of the newer 40 megapixel sensors like the XH2 or the X-T5 or the X-T50, but I don't have one of those. So if you'd like to see these reviews on a higher resolution sensor, like and subscribe to the video so I can get some monetization off this, or if you have one sitting around that you just wanted to send me, let's talk. It's also important to disclose that Viltrox did send me this lens for free through the TikTok Shop Creator Program, and I do get to keep it. However, Viltrox doesn't have any say or input in this review, but I never want to be anything but perfectly transparent. So let's talk about build quality and features. This thing is built like a tank. It's all metal, has a metal lens mount, has a really smooth manual focus ring, and a big handsome front element with a 72mm filter thread, and it comes with a really nice lens hood that works very well. It also has a USB-C port, which is used for updating its firmware, which I think more lens manufacturers should do. The only downside that I say about the body is it does not have a physical aperture ring. I wish it had, but alas, it doesn't. And I don't think that this lens was originally designed with the Fuji X mount in mind. I think it's been ported over, so I definitely give it a pass. Especially since I know Viltrox's newer lenses, like their 75mm f1.2 and their 27mm f1.2, both have aperture rings. So I almost wonder if this was a proof of concept to just get one of their lenses onto the X mount. Either way, it's not the end of the world. I just use the front dial to adjust aperture. It's just like any other camera that I would use, like the Canon R8 that I'm filming on right now. Anyway, let's talk about image quality. Now, when I say that I was blown away by this lens, I mean it. I had heard from other reviews that Viltrox lenses performed pretty well, but you can never really tell until you try it yourself, right? But straight from 1.8, it is incredibly sharp. And it keeps getting sharper up until about f11, when of course diffraction starts, and f16 is a little less sharp. And there is just a little smidge of chromatic aberration on some contrasting edges, but honestly not too bad, and not as bad as my 56mm f1.2. And it's got really nice bokeh, the out of focus areas in the background. And that transition from in focus to out of focus is really smooth. Honestly, there's not much more to say about image quality because it's just kind of good and reliable. But with reliability in mind, let's talk about autofocus. And its autofocus is surprisingly speedy and surprisingly accurate, and I never had any issues with it falling behind or missing too bad. Now again, I'm shooting on my X-T3, which is a little bit long in the tooth and a little bit older autofocus technology. And honestly, I feel like that makes the test even a little bit more demanding, right? But also, again, if you wanted to send me one of those newer bodies so I could get better tests, feel free. Its autofocus is just as fast and accurate, or maybe even a little bit more fast and accurate than my 56mm f1.2, which for portrait work has always been speedy and accurate enough for me. Now, if we're talking sports or action, I don't know. That's up to you to determine. For normal regular portraits or these pictures of this squirrel, it was more than fast enough. So how the hell is this thing only $400 when a somewhat equivalent 90mm Fuji is $1,000? In fact, all of Fuji's telephoto lenses, from their 50mm, 56mm, their 60 macro, their 80 macro, and then the 90, are all between $650 and $1,200. So honestly, it might just be people's reluctance to buy third-party lenses. I do admit, I love having the Fuji branded lenses with my Fuji camera, with all of the cute and matching design styling, and I definitely love having an aperture ring. And this is definitely more of a modern lens design. In fact, it's kind of similar to Sony's 85mm f1.8, which is probably intentional. But if that's not a big deal to you, if it's more function over form for you, then this is a great deal. And if you're just looking at performance, this thing goes hard. It's a lot of lens for not a lot of money. So this Viltrox 85mm f1.8 Mark II for Fuji X mount is definitely a lens that I would recommend. If you're looking for a telephoto lens for your Fuji camera that isn't gonna break the bank and is gonna give you really good image quality, I'd say give this thing a try. Anyway, thank you for watching. My name's Caleb. I'm a portrait and boudoir photographer based in Bend, Oregon. Be sure to like and subscribe to this video, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and I'd love to have you join our Patreon community. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this where I talk about a particular lens. And if you're out there saying, I like this review, but it would be better with that new 40 megapixel sensor, send one my way. We'll talk to you again soon.